Hi everybody, welcome to this week's video. Today we're looking at a dip pen by Herbane, Jacques Herbane, and it looks like this when it arrives. It's in shrink wrap, so let's get into it. Okay everybody, so I was really shocked to find that this is from Amazon, French Amazon. It was $11.95 or $11.99. I've not had a glass dip pen before, and I've heard that they're smoother on different papers, which is what I'm needing, particularly for cardi paper and my Hahnemuhle DNS sketchbook. The paper is too difficult for a traditional metal dip pen. So this is, as I've said, by Herbane, Jacques Herbane, and it's shrink wrapped and it's in a box. But I'm like, hopefully it's not damaged, because I assume that's why it's shrink wrapped. I've just pushed it back into the box because it wasn't in properly. I'm really hoping that the end isn't broken. I thought that there would be maybe a tie around the top and the bottom to keep the point in the slot, the foam slot, because it raised up in transit and I've just pushed it back down. So I did think elastic bands or something, and then putting the lid on the box would have helped. So getting some scissors and going to get into this. To the side of me I've got a pot of waterproof drawing ink by Chroma, Atelier Chroma, that I got from Jackson Art Supplies. There will be a video on my channel about it, so I'm not actually going to talk positive or negatively about it, but that is the ink I'm going to be using. So plastic is off. You can see it's this lovely blue one. There were 4 colours, a bright green, a red, this blue, and I think a yellow, and I thought that this looked the best kind. Now the fun is, we've got to separate the box, the base from the lid, so we've got that. There's a foam piece that should have been over the top of it, and then the lid should have been on. Something's fallen out. Oh, a piece of paper. Don't know. The lid should have gone on like that. I still think that the bands should have been on it. Keep it in, and that's really as it should have been. And Jacques Herbane, it says on the side of the box in gold shiny writing, all about Jacques Herbane had crossed the oceans, and glass pens were very trendy in the 17th century Venice. And so basically today they have been brought back, and a lot of people use them as desk ornaments. But artists and calligraphers, people that love writing letters, love using them instead of a metal. Now, taking it out the box, it does feel quite a solid feeling. Quite, it's glass. I don't know if it's crystal. Some will say crystal glass or glass. Now, they're all supposed to be hand blown, which means that each one is going to be unique. It's glass is hand blown, so it feels, it's all twisty, the bit here at the end, and you've got the point which isn't broken. Yay! Obviously it's not for children, and when you dip, I'll bring the ink over so that you can see. When you dip, don't stab it in. Just gently, it will creep up. The ink will actually climb up the pen. You just twist a bit. Never stab it to the bottom and bring it up and gently tip, you know, dab it on the side, and that should be a loaded pen. So I'm going to undo my sketchbook. This is the A5 Royal Talons, my fun sketchbook, and in here I have done a lot of pencil sketches that I need to add ink to. So we're just going to have a look and see how this, so that's not enough yet, so I probably hadn't dipped it fully in, and I had added water, so it might take a couple of goes, and sometimes they say to tip it up and to twist it around to make sure it's all, you know, on. Now I may have added too much water, so we'll see, and I'm being ever so careful. No, we're not getting anything yet, so perhaps I'm doing not enough. I'm taking too much off, I suspect. So as I say, it's going to take a while to get used to this. Here we are. And it does a lovely thin line that is a consistent line, and it's quite smooth on the paper. So yes, it's going to take a while, you know, a couple of dips on a new pen to get the ink flowing. But my goodness, it is really good, and once the pen is, you know, fully happy and used to the ink and everything, you can produce several sentences if you're writing with a glass dip pen without having to re-ink it, as in dipping it back in the pot. So for me, I'm going to be able to create quite a lot of my drawing once, and also you have to turn if you want consistent ink flow. As you're drawing, twist the pen in your hand so that the ink is flowing evenly on each side. You must always be careful with that tip. You must never be hand-fisted and, you know, hit it. And try not to really draw right on the tip. It's more the side of the pen I'm noticing the more I use it, and it's great for texture. So at the moment I've probably not got my ink flow very well. I probably did add too much water to the ink. In fact, it's like my first time using the ink, because I've been going back and forth with the company who makes it, so like that's for another video. But this is the first time using the pen and the ink, so it's a learning curve. But my goodness, it is so much nicer than using my metal dip pen, because it sits better in your hand for a start, and it's weighted, and the weight just gives you more stability, I find, more confidence in helping you to draw perfect lines. Like my lines are more precise, I'm noticing, and that's really exciting. and keep watching for how often I dip the pen back into the ink, because once we're fully, you know, got the pen ready, I shouldn't have to keep dipping it in too much, because we're going to be turning it, and one of the sides will have more ink than the other, you know, it just depends. But this is really fun, and it wasn't vastly expensive, so I'm dipping it back in now, and I'm not wiping too much off, I'm noticing, because you don't need to. I'm also worried it might be cutting my paper, but we'll see, won't we? Yes, so I'm wondering if my ink might be a bit too, for me I'm thinking thin, but it actually might be too thick if I'm not getting a proper flow. I'm just giving it a bit of a stir with the pen. So I'm really hoping I'm not going to break this. But it feels actually sturdy. That's why I purchased a branded one to start with, because a lot of them come from China, and I'm still not sure if Jacques Herbin has them made in China. But I was concerned with quite a lot of reviews on Amazon for the known Chinese made ones, that they were breaking and snapping in transit. So I was thinking, I don't want to be disappointed when I'm so excited about getting this. So I thought, well, instead of paying, say, $6.99, I'll pay $11.99, which was still a good price, I'm thinking. And it's from a brand I've heard of that are having a good reputation. And I have their ink as well, but I'm not obviously using their ink because I don't have any of their ink that is permanent, if you said waterproof. Doing watercolour and gouache, I do need it to be waterproof. Otherwise we'll have a mess when we add water. So, really, really pleased so far. I'm not, if I had been using my metal dip pen, I would have been dipping it in a lot more than I am with this one. So it's less of a distraction, for sure. The tip that we are using is feeling quite thick. I like that it comes with a storage box. Now, I would say the only thing if it's a negative, I don't know, it does not come with a vest. Now, I've noticed the China ones, that I know are definitely a China brand, seem to all come in a box, and they come with a vest that you can actually rest the dip pen on when you're not using it. But actually for me it was a plus not to have that, because I don't have the room on my desk to rest it, and I tend to would be using it, and I might then leave it soaking in my water pot, or be wiping it with a tissue, and then putting it back in the box, because there's no way I could use it downstairs because we have tile floors, and I'd be far too worried using it downstairs. But in my room I have a carpet, so it's safe if I do drop it, which I hope I never do. But I am clumsy, and it's inevitable that it will happen at some point. But I do have a feeling it's tempered glass or something. It's reinforced or whatever. They say that it is more of a safety glass, so I don't know how that works with crystal glass, because you can get the crystal glass dip pens. This is, I think, a standard glass, not crystal glass. And then go in here. I do love the effect of the dip pen, and also I find it's better for me than using a fine liner, the pens, because you've got all that plastic and you bin them when they're empty. Whereas with this and my other dip pen, it is a drag. You can't take it plein air with you very easily. I mean, some people do. But I prefer having this than the fine liner plastic pens, because this will work more. I mean, my metal one works better as well. When you're doing gouache and watercolour, it means I can go over it a lot easier with these manual dip pens rather than the fine liners. You can get really good detail, and there's far less scratchy noise. Obviously the noise you're hearing apart from this is my fan, because we have warm weather again in September at the beginning, and it's warm, so the fan is on. But this scratching is nothing like you get with a metal nib, and it's not damaging the paper, and it's ever so fine. Let's see if we've still got ink. We have. Try not to be too tempted to keep dipping it. If you've used the metal nibs, then you'll know, and you might be in a habit of constantly dipping, but try not to all the time, because it's, well, unless you really, want to, it's better not to, because you don't want to get flooded. If you do have too much ink, you'll get blops on the paper, and that's annoying to say the least. So you have to have quite a bit to start with to get that pen going. But once you do, you can see it will go for quite a while. And I like that it gets lighter. The more you're running out, it will get lighter. And then you can go back in and just keep going over places to darken. If you can get, your thick lines, you just keep going over. I think this is worthwhile having in your studio. I really do. And they're not expensive, though I do recommend you get, especially if you haven't had one before and you're excited, to please buy a branded one from a company that you trust. Especially if you're ordering it online, like I did. I'm just so pleased the nib wasn't broken. There have been horror stories on Amazon from the other brands that the nibs were broken. But this does, as I've said, it feels sturdy. Now, can you see that blob there? Because I lay the pen on its side, and there was a blob. I wasn't using the tip, I lay it on the side. So to start your pen off, you do need to dip the whole thing in about 3 times and wipe off the excess, and do it a couple more times just to wake that pen up, because it's been sleeping in transit for a long time and probably in a warehouse somewhere waiting for somebody to give it a loving home. And we're almost ready to finish. Be ready to add colour, which we're not doing in this video, guys. It's something I'll probably be doing off camera or in a future video. But I just wanted to show you how lovely a glass dip pen can be for your artwork. And I'm super happy that I decided to add one to my collection. So now what I'm going to do is put it straight in my pot of water, shake it about, very gently, and put the pot there, move the ink, and pick the tissue up that I have to hand and dry it off. Now they say that you might have to use a toothbrush for cleaning it if you are using particularly difficult ink, and I suspect I might have to with this. Obviously not now, but I have dipped it in again to the water and giving it another clean. Basically it's because just up here is a mark of the black, which is annoying, but I've just scraped it off with my finger. But if you're using other colours, that's when it can get annoying. But it's now clean. So I'm going to get the box, and there's a little hole for the nib to fit into, and there we are. It's safe back in its box, and I'm really happy. Put the lid back on, and there we are. Wonderful. Oh, thank you guys for watching. I hope you found this useful and helpful, and maybe it's inspired you to research glass dip pens. And with that said, I ask you to give me the thumbs up, to like the video if you found it helpful, watch to the end if you have watched to the end, tell me what is your favourite type of dip pen. Do you like glass dip pens or regular dip pens? And also give me a comment and share the video. Don't forget to check the description for links to my Ko-fi where you can support me further, and subscribe if you haven't already to my channel. Subscribing is completely free to my YouTube channel, and I'll catch you next time, guys. Creative wishes.